It's time for Marshalltown High School Tournament Volleyball on KDAO TV. Coming up tonight is a video replay of a volleyball match played on Wednesday at the Roundhouse. It was a regional semifinal match. The opponent is Southeast Polk. Chuck Carpenter and Bruce Fopova will have the play-by-play, and this volleyball match is being sponsored by Marshalltown Medical and Surgical Center. And now, Bobcat Volleyball versus Southeast Polk on KDAO TV. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Marshalltown High School Tournament Girls Volleyball action on KDAO TV 45. As the tournament trail starts up for the Marshalltown Bobcats, only 2 matches to the state tournament for the Bobcat girls, but you got to take them one at a time. And tonight, the Marshalltown Bobcat girls, who are rated 10th in the state, they haven't played a match since they defeated Newton on October the 19th to get second place in the conference. The Bobcats playing at home in the first round. This is called a regional semifinal match. The opponent is Southeast Polk. The Rams don't have a very good record, but still, they're playing some good volleyball as of late, defeating Des Moines East in 4 games in their quarterfinal match. They have a very good hitter in Kayla Pinniger, number 12, and they also serve the ball very well also. So the Bobcats have to play well tonight in order to advance and play either Urbandale or Newton next Monday night for the right to go to state. I'm joined by Bruce Fopova on the play-by-play. Coach Fopova, thank you very much for being on hand. And Coach, indeed, whether you are, well, maybe not really a fan, but definitely if you're a player and a coach, is that probably the worst thing you can do is start talking a lot about possibly playing Urbandale and kind of overlooking this team. In volleyball, like other sports, is it not good to overlook a team?
Well, definitely the Bobcats have to come out and just relax and play well here. Southeast Polk has a big advantage, and they already have that 1 win in tournament play, and so it's always nice for the Bobcats to get that first win under their belt before they start looking ahead.
Coach, as we mentioned, we're almost getting ready with the starting lineups here. They've got a good girl in Kayla Pinniger. Now, Coach, I know volleyball is not like basketball where you could, play good defense around a particular player. But, our friend Darwin Sense from Grundy Center says sometimes you can shadow a player. Coach, if they have a real good player, indeed, can you shadow someone? Can you try to keep track of where that one good player is? Or can't you do that in volleyball like you can in basketball, Coach, when we speak of that Pinniger girl?
Well, definitely Marshalltown can keep an eye on her and kind of prepare to block her a little bit better. But if she happens to get real hot, sometimes it's hard to shut down somebody. So we just have to pass the ball and play our best.
And also, too, one of the big keys, Coach, and that's receiving serve. And this team serves about 92%. They can serve some short serves and deep serves. And I know, Coach, it's foolish to point out, but is that one of the big things the Bobcats have to do is to just receive the serve, because if you don't receive serve, you're not going to get it done as far as your offense is concerned, Coach.
Well, definitely Bobcats have great serve receivers and when they're on, so they just need to relax and pass the ball and get their offense moving.
In other words, and I know it's easy to say this on the TV, Coach, but in other words, just play their game. And if the Bobcats just play their normal game, they are rated 10th in the state. They have played some very, very good competition. If they concentrate and just play their game, you'd like to think they'd be okay tonight, Coach.
Yeah, exactly. If Marshalltown loses, it's going to be a lot of what we didn't do or what we wanted to do and weren't able to do, more so than what Southeast Polk does. But, of course, Southeast Polk, I'm sure, is looking forward to having a great game, too.
Well, and I'm sure Southeast Polk coming in here with nothing to lose, they can just play relaxed. And as I mentioned, they don't have a very good record. They're only 9-22. They're a young team, and they don't have a great deal of height on their team. And that could hurt them because, of course, Marshalltown has some very, very good hitters and some very good blockers at the net. People like Taryn Johnston and, of course, Laura Loney and Tasha Bermudez and, of course, Jenna Butler. So that could be a factor, too, as far as the height is concerned. The Marshalltown Bobcat girls, of course, they introduced the non-starters, so to say. The Marshalltown Bobcat girls play excellent competition this year. They have a record of 28-11. They finished second in the conference to Fort Dodge, a very good schedule. They have a very good balanced attack. They, for the most part, play very well together as a team. Good balance. They usually do a good job with their defense. They've got 2 good setters, so they're just a nice team here by Coach Westendorf. And now the starting lineups, and for Southeast Polk, they'll lead things off with number 7. That's Jessica Barkley. She's a junior. Number 6 is Kelsey Host. Amanda Jelliman is a senior outside hitter. Kayla Pinniger, number 12. That's their big player, and I think she mainly comes from the middle. Brooke Tripp, senior number 4, and setter Kelsey Von Hemmel. For the Marshalltown Bobcat girls, this is kind of the typical lineup they went with for the last couple of matches. Tasha Bermudez, number 4, is a junior, and she's a very, very fine all-around player. Claire Hankin Number 5 is a senior, Angie Brown, in the starting lineup. She's an excellent server for the Bobcats, and she is number 6, Bridget Ruff, a fine setter, and I believe she's number 1 on the Bobcats in assists. Bridget Ruff is a senior. Taryn Johnson, an outstanding hitter for the Marshalltown Bobcat girls, leads the team with 248 kills, and she's also a very good defensive player at the net. And Jenna Butler as well. Number 13, a senior. Of course, we'll see a lot about Laura Loney as we go along here tonight. And we'll see a lot of Lindsay Murphy as we go along here tonight as well. So it's the Bobcats and Southeast Polk as the trail to the Girls State Volleyball Tournament continues. Whoever wins this match will end up playing either Newton or Urbandale on Monday for the right to go to state. The national anthem is next, followed by the play-by-play of Bobcat Volleyball. Two matches away from the state tournament are the Marshalltown Bobcat girls. We've got a nice-sized crowd on hand here tonight. Southeast Polk is 1-0 in the tournament trail. They defeated Des Moines East in 4 games the other night. And as we mentioned, they're led by a fine hitter in Kayla Pinniger. She had 18 kills against Des Moines East, and plus, they're a very good serving team as well. Coach Vopova, one of the things that always impresses me about the Bobcats, I used to think a long time ago, if you had one good hitter or even 2 good hitters, you could be very effective. But the Bobcats, they have as many as 4 good hitters that they can put out there. So that balance is really, really tough for a defense to try to keep track of, isn't it, Coach?
Definitely. When the Bobcats are all on at the same time, they can beat anybody in the state. They are senior dominated, and this is the time of the year when the seniors are going to say, we're not ready to be done playing. We want to continue to play. Let's get out there and play our best match.
Now, I know that you cannot come out sharp and still win a volleyball match, but obviously if you had your druthers coach, especially against a team that doesn't have a very good record, you don't want to let this team hang around with you, and it'd be nice if the Bobcats came out sharp right away here in this contest.
Definitely. You want to get off to a good start and just take control of the match so that you don't have to get down at all throughout the match.
Tasha Bermudez, Claire Hankin, Angie Brown, Bridget Ruff, Taryn Johnston, Jenna Butler. For the Rams, Jessica Barkley, Kelsey Host, Amanda Jelliman, Kayla Pinniger, number 12, that's her big middle hitter, Brooke Tripp, Kelsey Von Himmel. I'm Chuck Carpenter with Coach Bruce Vopova. We're almost ready to go with Bobcat Girls Regional Semifinal Volleyball. The winner plays for the right to go to state. And a cross-court serve, Bridget Ruff, pushed over by Taryn Johnston. They'll set up that middle any chance they get, and she hit the net. That was number 12, Kayla Pinniger. She had 18 kills versus Des Moines East, 9 blocks, a good middle hitter.
Now Marshalltown put up a nice triple block there, and that's probably what they're doing to shadow that girl.
Brianna Hinman, she possibly is the best server for the Bobcats. She has, I believe, 62 aces, no doubt about it. This time she tips it over, and Bridget Ruff has it, and Butler with the set, Claire Hankin, and they dig it. Side hit, nice dig in the back row by Bridget Ruff again, and the Bobcats smack it into the net, and that's Claire Hankin. So both teams just kind of feeling each other out a little bit. Side out. Amanda Jelliman, who is an outside hitter and a senior. This team does not have a whole lot of height on it, the Southeast Polk squad. Bridget Ruff is going to set up Tasha Bermudez, and Tasha is going to be a great player to build their team around next year, Coach.
Yeah, definitely the only underclassman right now on the court, and there's a lot of capable people there over on the bench, but these seniors are going to take control of this match.
Okay, Bermudas will serve, and Laura Loney comes in and plays front row, and that's a very good presence in there, and 4 hits called on Southeast Polk. They're a little inexperienced. They had a good match against Des Moines East, and Marshalltown is rated 10th in the state, trying to make short work of this team, and then they can concentrate on whoever they have to play on Monday. 3-1 Bobcats, and that's tough, Coach. We talked about service reception for the Bobcats, but that was a perfect example, Coach. If you can't service receive, you send a free ball up to the net, and most of the time that's going to drop for a point, isn't it, Coach?
Yeah, definitely. That ball was just too hard to handle for the setter, and Tasha's doing a good job of putting pressure on him.
Pushed over into the back row, that's Bermudas. The Bobcats doing a good job not letting a lot of things fall, but a good block put up that time, and I believe that was Pinniger, and as I mentioned, she did have 9 blocks against Des Moines East.
Now she goes to the back row to serve, and maybe that'll make a little difference on our offense.
Heather Quick, a junior, comes in to the ball game. It's 4-2, the Bobcats lead. Bridget Ruff leads the team in assists, and Loney's hit was dug up. Butler gets to it. Loney smacks it into the back row, and Pinniger's got it. Number 10 almost went under the net, but they don't usually call that too much anymore. Claire Hankin. Good defense by Southeast Polk. Good defense by both teams. And that's Butler.
Nice solo block by Butler. Did a good job lining up.
Coach, you can see from our vantage point that Jenna, standing 6'3", kind of towers over everybody else, and I hope it's not putting too much pressure on her to say when you're 6'3", against shorter teams, you should probably do that all the time.
Well, definitely being above the net when you're at the net is a great advantage, and they've got quite a few girls that can block well.
Lindsay Murphy is serving, by the way. She has 27 aces. Lindsay's got it, and it's going to be knocked over by Allison Busby, who is in the game. And a good dig by Tasha Bermudas. Busby, yes, it's nice to see Busby get into the action.
Another underclassman who has really come on well this year and done a good job.
Allison Busby, a junior, number 12. Lindsay Murphy, as I mentioned, she has 29 serves. Marshalltown off to a fast 6-2 lead, and a bullet serve. That was a very good serve by Lindsay Murphy. Out of bounds. And along with everything else, if you're Southeast Polk and a young team, the last thing in the world you want to do is make a lot of mistakes and give Marshalltown a lot of points. But sometimes that happens when you're young.
Well, our serving and their passing is keeping Southeast Polk out of their offense right now, and that's a big advantage.
Okay, good serving by the Bobcats, as Coach Vopova mentioned, and Loney is going to get a Murphy set it up. Hankin knocked it over. Bobcats blocked it, and then they dug it good, courtesy of Claire Hankin. Good volleying by both teams here. And Claire Hankin, another good dig by Polk. And I think that was probably some good communication. I think maybe Claire Hankin was yelling at Brianna, or maybe Brianna was just heads up enough to let that thing fall.
Yeah, there probably was an out call, but just a little late, and Brianna just couldn't get out of the way. So, but they just need to talk to each other early.
They gave that point to Southeast Polk, I guess. I don't know what happened there, but they did.
Yeah, I think it touched Brianna just before it hit the floor.
Well, the referee, the up official, was right there, so he saw it. Bobcats dig it out of the net, and Hankin sends it over. There's a side hit, and that will be out of bounds, and nobody touched it. So Polk trying to put up a side attack.
Yeah, a lot of times when our blockers go up, they can really throw off the opponent's spikers, and I think that's what happened a little bit there.
Taryn Johnson's back into the game for the Bobcats. She leads the team in kills, and there is a very good, well, I thought it was going to be a good save. Bermuda's just got it before it hit the floor, but she hit it out of bounds.
She was in position and did a good job. She just needed to get it up in the air a little bit more. So Bobcats need to get their offense running.
8-4, serving the ball will be number 7, Jessica Barkley. And she's a very good jump server, excuse me. And Tara found the opening. So a good little hit there by Taryn Johnston. And that was good because Southeast Polk usually rattles off a whole bunch of points in a row when that girl goes back there and does the jump serve.
Yeah, it was a nice serve, and Busby helped out with the set, and Taryn just placed it in the right spot.
The first girl I ever saw to do a jump serve was probably Jennifer York in 1988. Coach?
I don't know if they knew what a jump serve was back then.
Did you teach it to her?
I think she might have learned that at camp.
Well, that was several years ago. 10-4, the Bobcats lead. And there's a middle dink. Murphy's got it. Set by Busby into the net.
Taryn's trying to roll it over to a certain spot, and that's not a bad play. You just got to make sure you get it over the net.
Bobcats are rated 10th. They have not played since October the 19th. Southeast Polk did defeat Des Moines East in the quarterfinals. The Bobcats and Urbandale in this particular region both got byes. Urbandale, by the way, short set, Johnston, and they get back to it. Lindsey Murphy saves it, and a middle hit by the Bobcats.
Yeah, back row set to Angie. She doesn't get to hit very often, so she likes those once in a while.
We have good digging in the back row, and Polk's playing some pretty good defense too. Murphy, Johnston.
Yeah, that could get frustrating to the Bobcat spikers if Southeast Polk keeps digging, but they seem to be doing fine right now.
Southeast Polk has hit the ball out of bounds a few times.
And the Bobcats play a 6-2 offense where the setter now, Bridget Ruff, comes in and serves and also becomes the setter, and Lindsey Murphy went out, and then they'll keep rotating.
11-5, the Bobcats lead. A very good serve by Bridget, but Polk does a good job of making the play. And that was a carry, and that was probably a good call by the official, Bermudez.
I like to see him try to run those quick because that keeps Southeast Polk a little bit off on their defense. So even if it wasn't successful, it's still a good thing to try once in a while.
Coach Grundy Center runs a 6-2, and Coach Sense told me he's a little old-fashioned. Do most teams not run 6-2 offenses anymore, Coach, with two setters?
More often you probably see a 5-1 offense where the one setter runs the whole offense.
That was one of the prettier plays by the Bobcats as Bridget Ruff gave a very nice set to Taryn Johnson, who slammed it home, and she has 250 kills on the year.
Yeah, a nice quick back set and just made it on the line.
Okay, here's Brianna Hinman. She's a very fine server. She leads the team as far as 63 aces are concerned. So Polk is trailing 12-6, and they didn't hit it hard, but they just found the opening. Ruff was there a titch too late.
A lot of topspin on that spike. It made it look like it was going to go deep, and then it just fell short.
Here's Amanda Jelliman. As I mentioned, this is a pretty decent serving team, Southeast Polk, but the Bobcats, for the most part, are controlling them. And Claire, just a little off the mark tonight. Claire's hit a couple into the net, but she's a very good hitter, and I'm sure they'll fall sooner or later.
Yeah, the Bobcats are running a two-person serve receive where two girls receive the whole court, and they do a very good job on that. Angie Brown, nice pass.
Bobcats doing a good job. That's 2 points in a row they've gotten in the back row. In comes Loney. Out goes Angie Brown. Here comes Tasha Bermudez. It is 13-8. This team kind of hanging around with the Bobcats, but the Bobcats do lead by 5. And there's their good hitter. And that time, Coach, we didn't play very good defense in the back row, or maybe we didn't block the ball at the net, or maybe it was both.
Yeah, there was just an opening there. Brianna was moving up to cover a little more of the tip, and that left an open spot on the court.
But at least we can have Pinniger serve the ball now. Bobcats doing a good job controlling these hard serves by Southeast Polk. And Butler out of bounds.
Yeah, nice pass by Claire Hankin, and at least they're trying to set different spots on the court. Find that hitter who's on tonight.
13-10. Pinniger up and over. Almost a little miscommunication there, but Bridget Ruff gives Loney a set. And Polk digs it. Side hit. Out of bounds. Last touch by the Bobcats and Bermudez. So Southeast Polk not really caring what the records are. They're playing pretty decent. And Coach Westendorf calls a timeout. And I know it's very early, Coach, but this is probably not exactly what Coach Westendorf wanted to see. I guess we have to give a little credit to Southeast Polk as they're down only 13-11 here.
Yeah, they're hitting down the line some, and Tasha was almost there. She almost had a nice save, and as soon as you kind of start reading those Southeast Polk hitters and try to be in the right defensive spots, hopefully we can get some good transition out of it.
But you know, Coach, we talked about how Southeast Polk, since they are the team that doesn't have a very good record, they can't afford to make any mistakes. And, you know, the same can be said for the Bobcats, you know, in this day and time where, you know, with rally scoring and that type of thing, boy, you know, even if you're a great team, you make a couple of mistakes, you can let a team right back into the ball game, Coach.
Yeah, definitely. It is a game where teams need to cut down on the mistakes to be successful in rally scoring.
Do you wish they had rally scoring when you were coaching, Coach?
I don't think so, but it's just part of the game right now. So,
Kayla Pinniger will serve. Polk down by only 2 in game number 1. Bridget Ruff set. Butler blocked at the net, and it falls. So Polk didn't have any help there after they set up a block, and the Bobcats get a much-needed point and a much-needed side out. In comes Lindsey Murphy, and in comes Allison Busby. Except the official won't let Allison Busby check in. Why is that, Coach?
I'm not sure. Maybe they only had one person come up at a time, and you have to have both of them report at the same time. So I have to ask that official later on.
I don't think Coach Westendorf knew either. Good dig in the back row, but they called the Bobcats for a violation. I looked down at my score sheet, and I guess I wasn't able to pick that up. Busby got it, but they called the Bobcats for a violation.
Yeah, now we got Busby on the court. It must have been a case where they needed to both go up at the same time to report. But, you know, Southeast Polk is passing the ball better, and I think that's one of the keys here.
Loney receives the serve. Loney hits it over. Loney with a great smash.
Well, and Laura hasn't had many spikes, and, you know, you just need to get the ball to her as much as you can, and out of the middle, that might be a very successful spot.
And maybe the Bobcats just need to hammer hard all the time. And here's Claire Hankin, 147 kills. I believe that's third on the team. And Claire, with the Bobcats leading 15-12, sends one over the net. And Polk gets it. Murphy saves it, pushed over by Johnson. And Murphy to Johnston, yes. So the Bobcats put a couple down. A little bit of nice balance there.
That was a nice quicker set out to Taryn, and they got that timing down, and it's hard to stop.
16-12, game number 1 on KDAO TV. Best of 5, you know. Good serve, Claire. However, Polk gets to it. And we have not called Pinniger's name for a while, which is good news for the Bobcats. And that's Loney into the middle. Bermuda's, excuse me, and Taryn, yes. So Taryn has got it going on, and if she gets hot, that makes the Bobcats double tough. So Taryn has put down 2 in a row.
Well, that set to her is just quick enough that middle blocker's having a hard time getting out there, and that's really working.
Into the net, and of course, that not only is a side out, but it's a point. So that stops the Bobcat momentum.
The key is to get the ball right back with a good pass.
17-13. This is Barkley. And just as Coach mentioned, Southeast Polk returns the favor with a service mistake. A side out and a point. And here's Angie Brown. I'm always impressed by Angie Brown. She's an excellent player, and she's just a great server for the Bobcats. Her and Brianna Hinman do a good job serving the ball for Marshalltown. Angie serves it over. Middle hit by Polk, yes. So they have a little bit of a middle hit. That's Heather Quick. They have maybe just a little bit of help to go along with Pinniger. Despite that, though, they're only 9-22 this year, but one would assume that they probably play pretty good competition down there. 18-14. A high lobbing serve, and Lindsey Murphy is going to set up Bermuda's. They block it back in her face. Lindsey this time to Taryn, and she found the opening. So that's 3 points in a row for Taryn.
Yeah, well-placed tip that went right between two girls, and they both had a hard time getting to the ball. So
in comes Butler, in comes Ruff. And Bridget is going to serve for the Bobcats. Bridget leads the team with about 375 assists. And Bridget's team is ahead 19-14. She lets it go into the back row. 19-14. Oh, there's their good hitter. Pinniger, Butler, Johnston. That's 4 in a row for Taryn.
Definitely Johnston's got her timing down and doing a really good job out there.
And a timeout, 20-14. That's the score. The last 2 matches when the Bobcats defeated Newton, and then again tonight, I'm kind of surprised to see Butler setting the ball, but she doesn't set the ball half bad, Coach.
No, and her position, playing that right front position, she has to be ready to set the ball when the back row setter takes the first hit, which happened in this last one, and she does do a pretty nice job of putting the ball up there.
Well, the Bobcats, a little bit of a tussle here with this Southeast Polk team. But as we mentioned, Southeast Polk probably came in here with nothing to lose, and they probably still were riding pretty high over to Boyne East. And you'd like to think, especially with the records being what they are, the Bobcats could get this one, and that could take a little starch away from Southeast Polk. At least in theory, that's what's supposed to happen.
Definitely our balance does show against Southeast Polk. They've got a couple good individuals, but our balance is tough.
And our serving has been pretty good tonight. And Bridget lets one go into the back row. And I think they're going to probably set up, I thought maybe they're going to set up Pinniger, but they tried to get a little balance going in their own right, and that's the first hit put down by Heather Gilmore. Polk has played pretty well here at the end of the year. It's 20-15, and they're just kind of hanging in here with the 10th rated team in the state.
Yeah, I think their coaches said they played their best volleyball here at the end, and I guess that's the best time to be playing well.
Well, the other thing is, too, Coach, as we watch the Bobcats here, and that was, you could tell that was going to be a violation for the Bobcats. The other thing is, too, with Polk, you know, the Pinniger girl, she's just a sophomore, and they're all underclassmen, so maybe this might be a pretty good team down the road to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I'm sure they're building and looking to the future.
Okay, 20-16 out of bounds, making a couple of mistakes there, giving the Bobcats a point. 21-16. And Taryn Johnston, who's had an outstanding first game, she has 4 kills, according to my very unofficial stats, and she pushes it into the back row. Polk gets it. Pinniger knocks it over. Blocked by Butler, and I guess they're going to call Polk for a carry.
Yeah, kind of the same thing that we had a little earlier there, and so at least the refs are being consistent, and we need to put the game away now.
22-16. Bobcats, as Coach Vopova mentioned, need to close strong. Coach, that was, again, one of those new rule changes from last year. Hits the top of the net, falls over. It's still a live ball. That time the Bobcats got a point off of it.
Yeah, new rule change, and if it hits that net and it drops fast, it's really hard to get to.
23-16. The Bobcats really had a tussle on their hand there for a while. I think it was only like 18-15, and then Johnston really got hot, and Taryn put down 4 in a row to make the score 23-16. As we get a good picture there on your TV screen of Coach Westendorf. And just in case you happen to tune into this match on Thursday night, a little late, our match will be rebroadcast again on Friday night at 6 o'clock. And then, of course, we'll have Bobcat football, last game of the regular season, on the air Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, Sunday night at 7, and Monday night at 8. Then we'll take a little break in our television coverage until basketball. Taryn Johnston, up and over, 23-16, the Bobcats lead. And there's Pinniger, and good block at the net. They blocked it back in her face, and she knocks it over, though. Bridget Ruff is going to set up Bermudas. Poke, outside hit. Good dig by Angie Brown. She's very good in the back row. Bobcats get called for a violation.
Yeah, again, Southeast Polk is hitting down the line and being pretty successful at it, so we just need to be better defending at that.
I wonder if that surprised the Bobcats, because when they scouted them the other night, it was pretty much Pinniger in the middle. So maybe this has kind of surprised the Bobcats with some outside side stuff. But I think the Bobcats are doing a good job on this serving game, and Claire knocks it into the net. They get it back. Pinniger again, and that time a little too much height of the net. We talked about that, those good blocks, whether it be Butler or Bermuda's right there, and you throw Loney into the mix as well. The Bobcats, that's a pretty good front line, especially if you're against a shorter team.
Yeah, Tasha and Jenna have such a high reach. It's tough to be up against in the net with them. Well, now the server going back for Southeast Polk has kind of a unenvious position, is trying to serve 6 points in a row on game point. It's a tough situation for them.
Bobcats doing a good job controlling that serve. However, they do have to set it up from their back row. Sometimes that is tough, and there's a middle hit. And again, a good block at the net by the Bobcats, plus it hit the top of the net. Butler and Ruff and Loney, yes. And that is game number 1. And the Bobcats played pretty well, and the Bobcats also did a good job of exposing the back row. We got quite a few points in the back row, and the match really kind of turned, Coach. I think the Bobcats had it under control, but still, Southeast Polk was playing pretty well until they got Taryn set up, and she put down 4 in a row, Coach. That really opened things up.
Yeah, Taryn across the front row, and then she went back and served 2 or 3, and then Laura Loney comes in the front row and finishes it off.
Okay, so the Bobcats do what they wanted to do. They come in and win game number 1 by a score of 25-18. This is a Class 4A regional semifinal match. If the Bobcats win, they play either Newton or Urbandale at Southeast Polk High School on Monday night for the right to go to state. 25-18, the Bobcats win game number 1, and the second game is coming up on KDAO TV. You're watching Marshalltown Bobcat Volleyball on KDAO TV. I'm Chuck Carpenter with Bruce Popova. The Bobcats take about 25 minutes and defeat a scrappy Southeast Polk team in game number 1, 25-18. Now, Coach, if you're the Bobcats, again, it's easy to say this on TV as Bridget gets ready to serve. Is this the game where you really want to get off to a pretty fast start after the other team played pretty well? Do you really want to get off to, 5, 6, 7-0 lead right now, Coach?
Well, the Bobcats just want to relax and play their best volleyball. And nice block there. That's, again, what we've said is a big advantage up at the net.
Yeah, blocking and serving has been very good for the Bobcats. Plus, again, can't say enough, the Bobcats have done a nice job on the service reception, and that was one of their big keys. This team had been serving about 92%. Butler knocks it over. And a good block. And then it got by the first wave and the Bobcats with the second wave. And Polk hits it out of bounds. So along with everything else, the young Southeast Polk team making a few mistakes, hitting a few balls out of bounds against the Bobcats, and that's not good against a 10th-rated team in the state.
Yeah, Taryn did a good job of just getting her hand on that ball and still keeping herself, her momentum from going into the net. So, good job.
That was an excellent serve by Bridget Ruff and out of bounds. So I think that's 3 balls out of bounds hit by Southeast Polk.
Yeah, definitely serving is putting pressure on their offense.
They played pretty well in game number 1, and now the Bobcats off to a fast 3-0 start. And Bridget just doing a good job with that serving. And this is how the Bobcats wanted to start up game number 1, getting off to a nice start. And Bridget locks and loads. And another cross-court serve, only this time it went out of bounds. The Bobcats perhaps thought somebody touched it, but they did not.
Well, it was a nice serve. She was trying to serve right there in the area where the setter was coming from the back row and put a lot of pressure on there, and just that last one went a few inches out. But nice start to the game.
I might be blind, Coach, but I don't know where the ball is. Oh, there it is. Nobody had the ball out there. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Okay, Southeast Polk. The tough serving really has not hurt the Bobcats too much tonight. Angie Brown gets to it, and Taryn Johnson gets the point to go over, and that's one of those examples where I guess you don't have to hammer hard all the time.
Definitely, she found a wide open spot, read the court well, and did a good job.
And again, Coach, as we talked about before, as we watch Brianna Hinman, and another violation on Southeast Polk, but that's one of the good things tonight for the Bobcats. They've been able to receive serve very well. That was one of Southeast Polk's strengths, and that's how you start your offense, is to receive that serve. Hinman, back row. We also haven't called Pinniger's name for a while. They haven't set her, and that helps the Bobcats. Butler is going to set up Claire, yes, and that makes Claire feel good because Claire had kind of an off game in game number 1, and the Bobcats still won, so that must be disconcerting for the opposition when one of their better hitters has an off game in game number 1 and they still won the thing.
Yeah, now it seems like everybody's kind of got it on, except for the 2 serves we've missed. Everybody's done a great job, and it's nice to start out 7-1, 7-2, but now we need to keep going in the middle of the game here.
Well, and that's positive what you mentioned, Coach. It's really good, even though we're early. The Bobcats haven't let any balls fall, and the only points they've gotten have been on service mistakes or service errors by the Bobcats. There's Claire. There's another point.
Definitely, I'd rather see a little service mistakes and serve tough than to serve easy serves that the other teams can receive easily. So good pressure on serving.
So Taryn Johnston, and again, Coach, that's about the only points they've gotten has been on 3 service errors.
Yeah, we just need to get the ball right back.
In game number 1, Taryn Johnston had the hot hand. Here in game number 2, Claire Hankin has the hot hand, and it's 8-3. Plus, as we mentioned, they haven't set up a Pinniger, and she's sitting on the bench, so that's good for the Bobcats. And Loney gets into the act, so the Bobcats really starting to show their balance right now, and really starting to show their good teamwork right now. And they'll need that if they happen to play against Urbandale on Tuesday, and even Newton is very respectable. 9-3. Here's Lindsay Murphy to serve. She's got 32 aces. That's almost a violation by Polk, but they push it over. And again, they're playing without their best player, Pinniger, she's not in the game, and Loney hammers hard and smashes it into the back row. And one thing that's happening, Coach, I don't know if it's their defense or maybe the lack of Penninger in there, but they're just not putting up a block at the net, and that kind of makes it easy for a team, does it not, Coach?
And definitely Laura's had a great hitting efficiency tonight. Every time she's touched the ball, I think almost every time it's been a kill, so she needs to keep swinging away.
There's Claire. No. Just missed by a titch.
Yeah, nice try down the line. She had hit a couple cross court a little earlier, and now she was trying to go the other way.
Bobcats have not given up any kills, just that one out of bounds call and then 3 service mistakes by the Bobcats. So Polk really, for the most part, has not earned anything. And as I mentioned, they're really doing a good job against that serving. Good defensive play there by Polk, and out of bounds. So that'll be another point for the Bobcats. So Johnson's going to come back into the game.
And Claire Hankin to serve.
And again, Penninger sitting on the bench. So they don't really have a go-to person, Southeast Polk. And the Bobcats get called for 4 hits. And it's 11-5. Penninger will come back into the game now. And I guess if I were Polk, I'd probably set her up all the time because you've got nothing to lose. Bobcats have not given up too many points on serves. They've done a good job. And there's a good example, although that was Penninger. And I think Tasha Bermudez has done a real nice job in the back row getting to those serves, even though the Bobcats do give up a point there.
Well, nice try by Busby to tap it over. There was just a block on the other side that brought it right back. So she did what she had to do.
Angie Brown serves the ball over. And there is a side hit. Busby and Bermudez get to it. Pushed over by Johnston. Side hit. Good block by Bermudez and Johnston. And again. And Polk with a mistake.
Taryn did a real nice job on that last block. She went up and kind of swiped it to her right. Made it real tough for Southeast Polk to dig it back up.
Well, we mentioned how the Bobcats really kind of dominated the net here. With Tasha and Jenna.
And the setter got called for a foot under the net. I think as she was going after that last pass, she stepped backwards before she went forward.
14-5. And that was out of bounds. That was a hard hit, but it just went out of bounds. So Polk has had their problems, and a timeout has been called along with everything else. Polk's struggling a little bit here. They've been hitting a lot of balls out of bounds, and the Bobcats with some very good balance. And the Bobcats, for the most part, I think, Coach, are dominating the net, controlling the net, and that's really what you have to have happen.
Yeah, definitely. A little too much height for Southeast Polk. But that last play Southeast Polk ran was nice slide to the right and just barely missed. I think they're going to probably try to come to the right side a lot more against us and see what they can get done.
Well, Polk played the Bobcats pretty tough in game number 1 and lost only 25-18. Here the Bobcats have a nice lead of 15-5. And after the timeout's called, Coach, this is, I guess, where Polk would like to get a couple of points, but this is where the Bobcats would further like to expand their lead a little bit here.
Yeah, you just want to relax and play good ball and finish out game 2.
Newton and Urbandale are playing tonight. The Bobcats, if they win tonight, we get that winner at Southeast Polk. It's been a long time since I've been to the Southeast Polk. Now, the Bobcats went down there earlier this year to play Southeast Polk, but it's been a long time. I think the last time I was at the Southeast Polk High School gym was when they had the state tournament down there, Coach.
Yeah, definitely for
that was an interesting. Yeah, that was an interesting state tournament. Taryn Johnston's had a great night tonight, and out of bounds, last touched by Southeast Polk. If I remember right, they had 2 gyms, and they thought that would be very positive for them at state tournament time, but sometimes it didn't work out too well when the crowds were trying to go from one gym to another.
It was just too crowded. They had to find a bigger place, and that's what led to Five Season Center.
17-5, and of course that's a great place for volleyball.
Angie Brown serving greats. The Bobcats have served a couple short serves, made it tough. There was a back row attack by the setter. The pass was too high to the net, and the setter went up to try to do something with it. And she legally, since she's a back row player, could not go above the net and touch the ball and got called on it.
Plus the fact too, Coach, she's only about 5'4", and Johnson and Bermudez are both about 5'11", so that makes it tough on them.
Yep, definitely.
18-5. Nice. And Johnston locks and loads and puts it down. Taryn's having a great game tonight, and the Bobcats really taking apart Southeast Polk now.
Yeah, our serving is just kind of picking it apart, and then when we get the ball back, the offense is really putting it down.
(19-5). And Polk gets to it on a nice play, and they knock it over into the back row. Claire Hankins got it, and Lindsay Murphy's got it. This time they block it back in Taryn's face, and now they go middle. They block and they dig it again. Nice dig in the back row by Angie. Good play by both teams, yes. Coach, it's always exciting when you have a long volley like that, and both teams actually played pretty well, but the Bobcats stayed with it, and they did a lot of things. They went to the side, they went to the middle, and they went to the back, and they finally got it to go down.
Yeah, again, Taryn had a couple nice hard hits, and then she came back with a well-placed spike, well-placed tip. So,
and then I liked, as Southeast Polk gets called for being in the net, and also liked the fact that the Bobcats played very well in the back row. Here comes Celia Garcia. And she replaces Claire Hankin. Claire had a good second game. It's 21-5. Angie Brown serves it over. Oh, free ball. Pinniger got to it. Pushed into the back row. I don't think Pinniger has gotten one set here, and that is inbounds. It should be, yes. I don't think Pinniger's got one set here tonight in game 2.
Well, I'll tell you, Angie Brown's serving has been real tough right now, but Busby hit a real nice topspin spike that looked like it was going out, and it dropped right in there. Another tough serve. That setter's just not getting any good passes to do anything with.
Right. And Bobcats really pouring it on now, and as you mentioned, boy, Tasha's a great player this year, and boy, she's going to be an outstanding senior next year, I think.
Well, and now all 3 girls in the last 3 spikes for our front row has had a kill. Just everybody's hitting on all cylinders.
Pinniger pushes it over. It's 23-5. And a violation and another good hit this time by Busby, so everybody's getting into it. Coach, I know at least 3 points have come. The Bobcats gave up on service mistakes. One was out of bounds. I don't know if they've given up a kill in this game tonight, Coach.
And finish off the game with an ace by Angie Brown.
Well, that was impressive. 25-18, 25-5. And if they did give up a kill, Coach, it was only 1. But a majority of those points they gave up basically came on serves that the Bobcats hit out of bounds. So that's pretty outstanding second game, wasn't it?
Well, and see, when offense is hitting well, when the Bobcats are hitting and not making mistakes themselves, they are a very good team. They can beat anybody.
The Bobcats win 25-18. The Bobcats win 25-8. The Bobcats are 1 game away from playing in a regional championship match on Monday night in Southeast Polk. I'm Chuck Carpenter with Bruce Vopova. Game number 3 is coming up next on KDAO. You're watching Marshalltown High School volleyball on KDAO. The Bobcats had a tussle with Southeast Polk in game number 1. Then they put it all together in game number 2. And we kind of wondered if Southeast Polk would lose a little bit of their steam. They did, as the Bobcats did a great job serving, blocking, and hitting. And they won game number 2 easily by a score of 25-8. Now the Bobcats will try to polish off the Rams here in game number 3 and then go down to Southeast Polk to play for the right to go to the state tournament. So we shall see. And the first thing that happens is the Bobcats get one down. And I believe that was Tasha Bermuda. She's had an outstanding night tonight, Coach.
Well, actually, it looked like Tasha went up for a fake. I'm not sure if Jenny hit the ball behind her, but they were both so close together. It was a nice hit, a nice play by both of them.
Okay, Hinman up and over, and they push it into the back row. That was Pinniger, who was very quiet in game number 2. And there is a side hit. Southeast Polk, pretty much an underclassmen team, so they might be pretty good in years to come. The Bobcats, mainly seniors, very good. The player went under the net, but a lot of times they don't call that stuff too much anymore. And that time, that was a block at the net by Pinniger. She had about 9 of those things the other night against Des Moines East, and she blocked it back in Tasha Bermuda's face.
The foot can go over the line as long as the foot doesn't completely go over the line, and a lot of times you'll see that the foot go partially over the line, and it looks like it should be legal, and it works out. Hey, good save there.
But you just have to pull the foot back before it goes over the line.
Completely.
I would probably sprain my ankle if I tried to do that. Butler. That was a heck of a play, but she hit it out of bounds. That would have been a sweet play if it would have fell inbounds, Coach.
Yeah, it was a nice spike. It just came right back at her.
Well, Polk leads 2-1 now. They've lost 25-18 and 25-5.
Nice place for Tasha. She shot it over to the corner there. You know, the big difference I think between game 1 and game 2 is the Bobcats made quite a few mistakes in game 1, and they just didn't make hardly any mistakes at all in game 2 except a couple serving errors. So,
right.
And I had to say something while she was serving, but you know, we also are serving tough, and so you're going to have a few more errors when you're trying to serve real tough.
Well, that has certainly helped the Bobcats, and now there's a Pinniger, and that's a very high one, and Bridget Ruff's going to set up Loney. Yes, Laura has had an excellent game tonight.
Definitely, every time she touched the ball, almost every time it's been a kill.
That's right. Laura does few things wrong. 3-3, that's our score. Lindsay Murphy goes back to serve. 3-3, so Polk hanging around with the Bobcats here. Bobcats trying to get themselves in a position to play for the right to go to state. And again, that's a perfect example of not receiving the serve. And the ball either is going to be a free ball at the net or it's going to go into the net.
Yeah, that setter from Southeast Polk just hasn't had very many good passes to her.
And there's a good example again, but Polk pushes it back. And there's Claire. They dig it in the back row. They chase it out of bounds, and they push it over. Bermudez, Murphy, Loney. And that's a point. Bobcats just dissected the Rams there in that particular play. 5-3, the Bobcats lead. They lead 2-0. If the Bobcats win, hopefully a lot of people will go down and watch them play on Monday night. That's nice. The Bobcats haven't been to the state tournament since, I believe, 1999.
Oh, it was a nice play by Laura. Laura tried to place that tip. I thought it was a well-placed ball, but I guess the referees thought it was a little bit of a carry.
Coach, was 1999. That was the last year the Bobcats went to state. And was that kind of a surprise team that you had? Not a lot of people expected them to go to state. I was thinking that team, I think Carrie Clement was on that team, and they just kind of peaked at the right time, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. Good effort in the regional finals and pulled an upset and got down to state.
Then I think we lost to Sioux City in the first round. A good maybe not. I was just thinking there was a very good Sioux City team we ran into in the first round that beat us.
You have a better memory than I, but Sioux City or Iowa City, I remember a couple of those teams. And we also played Wahlert one of those years, and some good teams down there.
Okay, 5-5, that's the score. I shouldn't look ahead, but sometimes it's fun to do that. Okay. Murphy is going to set up Loney. She has got it going on tonight.
Definitely get the ball to the people that are putting it down.
Maybe she's spurred on by the fact that her sister Heather's in the crowd tonight watching her. 6-5. Claire Hankin hits one into the net. So the Rams hanging around. Bobcats are off to a 2-0 start. Sometimes, Coach, you see a little bit of a letdown from the team that leads 2-0. That was a really good save that time, I think, Coach, by Lindsay Murphy. And then it's going to fall for a point. So that was an excellent service reception by the Bobcats on a very tough serve.
Yeah, definitely they were ready and sent it right back at the Rams.
Bobcats trying to break away from this Ram team, and that'll be out of bounds. Bobcats, about the only thing they've done wrong tonight is just a few service errors.
Definitely against Urbandale, though. I don't want to get my chickens before they hatch, but want to serve better. And Southeast Polk returns the favor.
Well, and even if the Bobcats win, if it's not Urbandale, geez, Coach, that Newton team, they're not a bad little outfit. The Brain Girls are pretty good hitters, so whoever they play on Monday will be a respectable foe for the Bobcats.
Definitely.
And, of course, it's on a neutral court. The Bobcats beat Urbandale here in 5 great games earlier at the Roundhouse. 8-7, but the Bobcats have a tussle here in game number 3, so it's not over yet. Butler gets to it and knocked over by the Bobcats, and now Polk gets it. Butler, Johnston, found the opening.
Good help by Jenna.
Looked like a big donut, Coach, with just a big hole right in the middle.
Well, that's exactly where Taryn wanted to hit that ball. It was right in the middle. We call that campfire defense.
That's a very, very tough play, Coach, when you try to set up a middle hit, or even that might have been borderline backline hit.
Yeah, the pass wasn't very good, and the best they could do was try to set it up to the back row, and Bobcat serving is doing a good job. Another pass that made the setter from Southeast Polk just throw up something.
That hit the top of the net. Penninger's right there, and it goes over Penninger's head and out of bounds. So the Rams, a little bit of youth and inexperience showing right there, 11-7, and Coach of Polk is going to take a little time out here.
Yeah, it was a nice touch by Jenna. She found the open spot again and got a kill out of it.
And as I mentioned, if you just happen to be tuning into this match on Thursday night and you missed the start of it, it'll be replayed again on Friday night at 6 o'clock, and then we'll have the Bobcat football game at Newton on the air Saturday morning at 10, and then Sunday night at 7, and Monday night at 8. Then we'll take a little break from TV coverage until it's time for basketball.
Could be a real good game this Friday down in Newton.
Well, the Bobcat football team hasn't won down there for a long time, but they have a chance to go 6-3, and that's really, really good for the Bobcat program. And, of course, have to mention the cross-country teams. They're at the state tournament this coming Saturday in Fort Dodge.
Definitely tradition continues.
And the girls' swim team, they'll host a regional meet at the very, very nice community-wide facility on Saturday. So it's a big weekend. And as I mentioned, if the Bobcats win, then they'll play on Monday night. Bridget Ruff is going to set up, I don't know if Taryn or Tasha were supposed to get to that. I guess I'll never know, but it was a violation on the Bobcats.
Yeah, both of them were going for the ball, and it's still better to have two go for the ball than none, but it was set kind of right between them, and a little lack of communication there.
Number 10, Von Hemmel, will serve. And again, they really haven't given Pinniger too many sets here tonight. That was a nice set by Bridget. Was that called a back set? Because it went to the girl behind her.
Yep, a quick back set to Taryn. They really like that ball, and with Taryn with her reach can put that ball down.
And the key to that, though, is a good setter, because I saw Grundy Center do that the other night, and I thought one girl was going to get it and went to the girl behind her, and that was just a great, great hit. So you got to have a good setter for that, and Claire's ball gets through. Claire had an off game in game number 1. She had a terrific game in game number 2, and Claire just gives the Bobcats a 13-8 lead. Now the Bobcats really kind of want to close this thing out strong.
Yeah, Brianna's a good server, a few points. Setter for Southeast Polk's been running all over the court.
She has, and she hit the hit in the back row for the Bobcats, and there's Claire out of bounds. I think that was last touch by Polk.
Yeah, those last two spikes, Claire is just using that outside blocker for Southeast Polk. It's gone off her hands and out of bounds.
Claire's one of those girls, Coach, so much for the theory that you have to be 5'10", 5'11" in order to hit the ball hard. She's not really that tall, but she's just an excellent hitter, isn't she?
Definitely timing is a key to it, and she's got great timing, and she can also hit angles. She can hit lines. She has a lot of wide range there. Nice tip there. Another
and she
kill.
Can tip. So Claire having a great, great third game. It's 15-8 Bobcats. Bobcats trying to improve to 29-11, and then have to play whomever on Monday night. And you'll be able to hear the Bobcat volleyball match. If they do play on Monday, you'll be able to hear that match on KDAO Live 99.5 FM. I'll have the play-by-play courtside, or wherever I'll be at Southeast Polk. 15-8. There's Pinniger. They haven't set her up too much, and the Bobcats have done a good job blocking. That was Bermudez and Butler. And then Bermudez knocks it over.
Couple nice plays by Pinniger. She kept that ball alive and waited for our mistake.
Yep. Jody just kind of swatted it, or excuse me, Jenna just kind of swatted at the ball, and as a result, it went out of bounds, and Polk got a point out of it. 15-9. Bobcats have done a good job on a team that usually serves about 92%, but boy, they've done a good job as evidence there. Angie Brown had a nice receiver serve that time. Claire knocked it over, but they get it back, and they push it over. That's Hinman. Ruff. Pushed over. Bermudez. Bridget again. Claire again. Boy, Claire's got it going on in game 3.
Yeah, she's swinging away, and the blockers are just having a hard time finding the right spot there.
Our match is being sponsored by Marshalltown Medical and Surgical Center. I'm Chuck Carpenter with Bruce Popova. It's 16-9. It's a good serve by Bermudez. Bobcats also, along with everything else, have done a good job of getting some points out of the back row.
Yeah, Laura got a nice present there with Southeast Polk setting it over the net, and she's ready for it to put it down.
17-9 now. The Bobcats won game 1, 25-18, then 25-5. And a carry is called on Southeast Polk. So not a lot of things going right for the Rams. In order to compete with the team that's rated 10th in the state, along with everything else, you can't make mistakes, and the Rams have made some mistakes tonight after they played very good volleyball in game number 1. 18-9. Nice series there with Loney, but the Rams knock it over. And there's Ruff, and there's Claire, and somehow the Rams got it, knocked it back over.
Claire found a nice spot for that tip.
She had a little stutter step there. I think she misjudged the ball or something happened there, but at least she got it over and it counted.
Well, that's what makes a great hitter, is even if the set isn't right where you want it, they make something out of it.
19-9. There's Penninger. Hinman with a great block. Pushed over by Polk.
Oh, nice save by...
Boy, that was great, good stuff by Tasha. Now that goes down as a point, but that was just some good stuff by Tasha. Nice to see the girls, even though they lead 2-0, they're doing a good job diving and hitting the floor.
Yep, digging every ball.
That's Butler. And they dig it up. A little too much height there at that net for the Bobcats, or for the Polk, but they do get the ball into the back row.
That came back a little faster than we expected, and we weren't quite back into defense yet.
Yeah, that's one of the few times, Coach, that that we've given up a point there in that back row. Our back row defense has just been outstanding tonight.
Definitely.
Hankin, Ruff, Hankin, good stuff. That was just kind of the way that went, Coach.
That's nice how they're moving the ball around and hitting from different zones on the net, and that one was kind of in a 3 zone where Claire had split the block and put the ball down. It was nice. (20-11). Bobcats made a few mistakes in game number 1, allowing Polk to hang around with them. They had almost a perfect game in game number 2 and playing very well here in game number 3. 20-11. Lindsay Murphy up and over. Polk, that's Hinman. That's Lindsay. That's Loney. Man, if it's not Hankin, it's Loney. And then, of course, Taryn, who's sitting on the bench, she had a great second game, so the Bobcats can come at you with some thunder. Definitely. Laura gets the ball where she wants it. It's tough to stop her. Another bad pass created by a great serve. Lindsay Murphy doing a great job.
Bobcats are 2 points away here from going into the regional championship match. That's where they went last year and lost to Ankeny. Garcia comes into the game. And it's 23-11. And out of bounds. Penninger really hasn't been too much of a factor in this ball game. She had a great game against Heath, but Bobcats did a good job of shutting her down.
Yeah, if it wasn't us blocking, it's just us tough serves and their bad passes. They just haven't been able to get the ball set up. That's the way it should shut out there, is great serve, creating an ace, and winning the match.
Coach, was that good? Because, well, this game was close early, and Coach, maybe it's just my imagination, but sometimes, Coach, when you're up 2-0, sometimes you have a letdown in that third game when the other team comes back and beats you. So that was kind of good. The Bobcats showed a killer attitude. They really had the killer attitude in game number 2, but they did a good job after Polk was allowed to play around with them very early in game number 3. The Bobcats really kind of took control in a variety of ways, didn't they?
Definitely. They've got enough offensive power, and their serving was very strong, and they never stopped playing good defense.
So now the Bobcats will play for the right to go to state. That's always a great honor. It'll be either against Urbandale or Newton, and it will be at 7 o'clock at Southeast Polk High School on Monday night. So the Bobcats accomplished what they wanted to do. Took about 55 minutes, and they defeated Southeast Polk 25-18, 25-5, 25-11. I thank Coach Bruce Bopova for being on hand tonight with the play-by-play. We'll have a post game with MHS Girls volleyball coach Terry Westendorf coming up on KDAO TV.
Thanks, Chuck.